All right, everybody, thanks for joining in. This episode, we are going to be talking about a newer movie, and this is a movie that I personally picked, mainly because Danielle Harris, her latest movie is the sequel to this one, so I wanted to watch that one, and so then I was like, oh, well, I need to watch the original of that story, so I watched it, and I was like, okay, you know what, I think we're going to do that one for the show, so here we are, we're talking about, and this is, I'm not actually 100% sure on this, there's not a lot of information on this, so I can't say if this is the exact date or not. From what I can tell, this was actually released in 2017, but everywhere you look, it says 2014, so I guess we're going to go with 2014 on this one, so we're talking about 2014's The Redwood Massacre.
How did you find this film?
Well, I mean, just other than, because Danielle Harris is in the sequel, and so then when I was looking that up, and then I was like, oh, okay, so it's this other movie.
Okay, so that's your main source was the Danielle Harris connection.
Yep.
Okay.
But yeah, this is a modern, well, I shouldn't say modern, but, well, kind of modern, I guess. Yeah, it's kind of the modern take on the slasher, if you will. And you can definitely, at least I could anyway, you could definitely tell this is a more modern movie. Not just by the looks of certain things, but just of the feel of some of it.
Yeah.
And I would say the biggest thing is, I mean, it is ultra gory for one thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then it also has a bit of the torture porn aspect mixed in with it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like a Friday the 13th meets Hostel.
I would also add Friday the 13th meets Hostel meets the Blair Witch Project. I kind of got that vibe from it. I mean, obviously not the same type of film, and not like a found footage and all of that, but there's a lot of that I got out of this film.
Interesting. Yeah, well, I can kind of see that a little bit. Are you kind of thinking more like towards the end of the movie?
Well, just like, them going out in the woods and like a lot of the, finding that place out there. It just kind of, that's the kind of vibe I got.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I guess there is that feel too. Yeah, because you have sort of this, I don't even know what you want to really call it, but you have these well, I guess we can kind of get into it a little bit. So basically what you have is you have this group of people, younger people. They're not teenagers, I would assume. They're probably adults, I guess.
I would. Yeah, because they were all drinking.
Yeah, oh, yeah, that's true, yep. And so you have a guy and his girlfriend, and then in a really weird combination. So you have a guy and his girlfriend, and they somehow agree to go on this like adventure with this other girl and her friend turns out to be the other guy's ex-girlfriend, which they don't really get much into that other than there's some mention of it at the very beginning of it where they're like, yeah, that's my ex-girlfriend. But then the four of these people go on this like camping adventure in the woods, and they're going to meet up with a bunch of other people. Like it's kind of alluded to. The one girl talks to one guy on the phone, and it wasn't really clear if he was trying to get to where they were or if he was trying to get to where they were going. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, yeah, and then this is kind of where the Friday the 13th, at least for me, feel comes in. So they're kind of hanging out at this campfire at night, and then the one girl, the girlfriend of the guy, the current girlfriend of the guy, tells this like campfire story of this guy who went nutso and essentially killed his wife and his daughter at some point, and then they were like visiting the murder scene of that. And it wasn't just, he didn't just kill his wife and his daughter, he like killed his wife and then was eating his wife when his daughter found him. And then he killed his wife, and then he killed his daughter. So there's that aspect of it. And it was really weird, too, when they showed the flashback so you can kind of see what the story was she was talking about. And did you notice during that flashback the weird laugh that guy had?
I can't remember that for some reason.
Okay. It was really goofy to me because it was just like this really deep, goofy laugh. It was, it was obviously altered somehow. It wasn't, I wouldn't assume it was somebody's normal laugh. It was just one of those things to me where I was like, well, that's kind of odd, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So this group of people, they're out camping. She tells this story of this old Redwood Massacre, and then they wake up in the morning and the guy's current girlfriend is there, and then the one friend is there, and then the ex-girlfriend and the guy are missing. And there's no real explanation of how they went missing or how they got to the house, but they essentially were being held captive by the killer of the story.
What do you think of the killer? I mean, we get that whole opening scene where it's pretty graphic and kind of get an idea of what's going to happen in that film, and it's kind of funny because I think I've heard a podcast or something. Somebody was talking about the idea that we really haven't had like a serious slasher since the old school slashers. I guess I guess the most recent, if you were to pin it on a character that you see more than once, would be like the ghost face from Scream. But generally speaking, we haven't really had a consistent new slasher since your Jason, Freddy, and Michael. We don't have anything like that anymore.
And I don't know if I agree with that 100%. I mean, we had Hatchet, so we got 4 movies out of that.
But he didn't quite he didn't captivate. He wasn't as big of a deal as say Freddy Krueger or something like that.
No, but you also have to remember too in this day and age, a studio is not going to make a big budget slasher movie. They're just not. And the streaming age is the closest you're going to get to it. And honestly, Adam Green has a huge following. I'm not the biggest Adam Green fan. Kane Hodder has a gigantic following. And the first few of those movies I thought were okay for what they were. They kind of fall into this category a little bit, minus the torture porn.
Sure.
That seems to be the new go-to thing with horror, is if you're going to kill people, it's got to be overly gory. And we did see that in Halloween Kills, or not Halloween Kills, in Halloween from 2018. It's the same sort of thing. And that movie's not as bloody as these are. But when you think of, the one scene that I can think of that was honestly more brutal than anything we saw from John Carpenter in the past was probably as brutal, if not more brutal, than anything we saw from Rob Zombie, was the one scene where the girl was in her living room, and then Michael Myers came through the kitchen or whatever behind her and stabbed that knife through her throat.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. I kind of disagree with that statement when people say that we haven't had a slasher since the 80s. When I think we have, and to some success. But yeah, are we going to have anything as big as it was back in the day? No, we're not.
No. Yeah.
I don't think it's possible now. Now, granted, if another Friday the 13th comes out, or another Halloween comes out, or another Nightmare on Elm Street comes out, are those going to be in the theater? Yeah, probably. But, on the same token, this is something we were talking about before this, is you have to think of Halloween keeps making movies. They say there's going to be only 2 more and then they're going to be done. We all know how Halloween works.
There'll be more.
Yeah. So, but I wonder what would happen is if, Halloween Kills got delayed a year, So is that going to hurt it? I don't know. But let's say it does hurt it, and then the next one comes out 2 years later, Halloween ends. By then, maybe some people have lost some interest, and so it doesn't do as good as they thought. Is it unheard of that if there's another Halloween movie after that it would just go straight to streaming? No, it could happen.
Very much so, yeah. Who knows what the future holds with that? Absolutely.
Or the other thing, too, is you never know. I mean, this is the end of 2020. Majority of the planet has been pretty much at home since February, March. I mean, there's a pretty good possibility that, if theaters do survive, that they're not as popular as they once were, or unfortunately, the other thing that very well could happen is they do stick around for a little bit, but then it's going to cost you $100 to go to the movies for a date night because they're going to want to charge you $25 a ticket to get in the door.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah. It'll be interesting times for sure.
Yeah, I don't know that a mainstream slasher movie would really find any success.
No, at this day and age, outside of the classics that like obviously the new Halloween or a new Freddy or something like that. There's going to be an audience for that, but something brand new, it just doesn't seem to be. I don't see it happening.
No, because I mean, you had this, which is 6 years old, or maybe only 3 years old. Who knows? Yeah, what was the other one? There was another one, too, that came out right around the time that Hatchet was coming out. Chrome Skull, did you ever see those?
Oh, yeah. No, I did not see it, but yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, there was those, and then I thought there was another one that's slipping my mind. Oh, so speaking of the killer itself, though, I mean, we kind of were sort of talking about that, but went off of the rails a little bit. What did you think of the actual, the look and feel of the killer in this? Which I don't know that we ever actually got a name for him.
Well, it's kind of funny. My son walked in on me watching it, and he was like, "Oh, it looks like Scarecrow from Batman Begins." And I didn't really get that vibe so much, but to me, it was kind of very much like, I guess this is the way I would put it. He seemed like a character you would see if you walked into a haunted house, haunted house attraction these days. There'd be a guy dressed like that, like scaring people. So it didn't seem unique, unique enough to really draw me in, or it wasn't like, it just seemed like a guy with kind of like a sack kind of mask, and yeah, I get, yeah. So I wasn't like particularly I wasn't really into it as much as maybe some things in the past or some other characters that we've seen.
Yeah, his mask looks a little better in the sequel to this.
Oh, okay.
I mean, overall, I kind of thought he looked cool. The whole, this, I don't know what he was, I mean, they refer to him a couple of times as a farmer in there, because he kind of has that, that look. He's wearing a flannel shirt, he's got blue jeans on, work boots, and then, like you said, a scarecrow mask, which again would kind of relate to farm life, I guess. The one thing that the killer in this does a lot, and he does it a lot in the sequel as well, and he's not the only one, I've noticed this in other movies too, but is this whole, I mean, he's huge for one thing, because that's the thing now, you have to be a serial killer, you have to be a monster, you have to be freaking Taylor Maine size or bigger.
Right.
But, so he's this big lumbering guy, this huge burly guy, but he's like, the way that they do it, and you see it a lot in these movies now, is it's supposed to be like a scare tactic where he's like, like breathing really hard.
Yeah.
But, I'm getting close to my mid-40s, and every time I see somebody breathing like that, I'm like, oh man, what did you do that you're out of breath? Jeez, slow down next time. So to me, it always makes it seem like, oh, well, the guy's out of breath. I mean, hell, if you start running, you could probably get away.
Right.
And he's not the only one that you see. I mean, you see that kind of with, I think Jason did that a little bit in the Friday the 13th remake.
The huffing and puffing?
Yeah. Like
Well, I think...
and it's not really huffing and puffing. It's just that, like, he's standing still and he's like, he's like taking like huge breaths, you know?
Well, that was actually a Keen Hodder thing.
Was it? It just seems like
he kind of started
more,
doing that. He started doing that like when I remember in The New Blood, like when he debuted as Jason.
Yeah. See, it seems like it's more exaggerated than it was back in the day.
Sure.
But yeah, there's that, which always kind of drives me nuts. The other thing with him too is, and this kind of, we saw this with Art the Clown a little bit, and what I'm getting at here is having unconventional methods for a serial killer. So Art the Clown carried around a gun, which I know you didn't have a problem with. For whatever reason, it still kind of bugs me. I'm like, why does he have a gun? Yeah. He's a slasher. He shouldn't be shooting people.
Right.
But
no, I hear what you're saying.
What did you think about this dude in here and having like the lethal punch like multiple times?
I don't know. Like, I mean, I guess like this with this character, I was sort of open to, okay, this is something new. This is different. And yeah, he's going to do things like that. And I didn't know what to expect really. So I guess I just was sort of open to it.
Yeah, because it was kind of funny because the one guy, he pretty much killed just punching him. And then you think he kills another person later on when he like punches her in the face. But then the one dude, he's like beating the crap out of him, and then punches his heart through the back of his back, and you're like, damn.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess they kind of have to go with it to some degree. With I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't say that it bothered me, but I just sort of like it was sort of. It is what it is kind of deal.
Right. Yeah, and then the other thing in the movie, too, which is another thing that we see quite a bit is, I mean, like I said before, the excessive gore and stuff. But this other thing that we see a lot anymore in new movies, and it's not just in new movies. I mean, it was in Carrie. It was in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre as well. But is this whole having to have people just covered from head to toe in blood.
Yeah.
But and then as the movie progresses, then it dries, and then you get to the end of the movie and you have your survivor is like caked head to toe in like dried, crunchy blood, and you're like,
oh yeah.
Ugh. I don't know how. I wonder if you were in a situation that was portrayed in one of these movies, like with one of these slashers, how much slashing it would take to actually get you covered completely like that in blood.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
All right, well, I'll go ahead and say, so I'm going to give this 2 ratings.
Okay.
And I'm going to say, and the reason why is because I know when we talked about Hostel, whenever that was a couple years ago, that's really not our cup of tea.
Yeah.
As far as the whole torture porn thing goes. And this is kind of a slasher movie. So when I'm watching a slasher movie, I really want to see a slasher movie. I could do without the torture porn. As a matter of fact, I'm probably not going to seek out a torture porn movie. And if there was any inkling anywhere that I saw that this was sort of a torture porn type of movie, I probably wouldn't even bother watching it to begin with. So I will say that with the torture porn, it's kind of, I could deal without it. But if you take out the torture porn element, then I really like it. And so I would give it a thumbs up if it didn't have the torture porn. But it's kind of neutral, I would say, because I still enjoyed the story. I mean, it's nothing new, but somebody else trying to do a take on a slasher I thought was kind of cool. And as I mentioned before, I watched this because I wanted to see the sequel. I watched the sequel after this one, and the sequel is kind of the same. Like, it has the same elements and stuff, but the torture porn aspect in the second one was toned down just a little bit. So I liked it. a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, overall, I'm going to say it's kind of like in between thumbs up and thumbs down.
Yeah, this one, to me, for this one, I hate to be like too snobbish with modern horror. There's so much, it's so hard to like really connect with an audience. And I know like these filmmakers are trying their best to come up with ideas and, create these characters and do these effects and everything to really connect with the audience. And, we're so jaded, I think. I mean, especially as old guys who grew up with Michael Myers and Jason and Freddy, and it's just kind of like those are our characters, and it's very difficult to let anybody else come into the fold. And I watched this movie, and I tried to stay as keep an open mind about it, and just be like, okay, it's a new horror movie. But at the end of the day, I just felt kind of like a run of the mill, sort of a generic, okay, here's your killer. He's got a mask on, and let's put in a bunch of gore, and it just didn't like resonate with me. I didn't really get attached to it. I would not watch it again, and I don't want to see the sequel. So for that reason, I'm going to have to give it a thumbs down. Sorry, Danielle.